Good afternoon, everyone. About 15 past the 3 o'clock hour on the East Coast. It is indeed a Tuesday edition of Middays with you, coming at you live in the friendly confines of the not only the Tri-X 57 studios, but also in our Q studio on our YouTube channel, Rich Quinones. And as always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones, for this 13th of May, 2025. We got an hour to play with, and what I feel will be a very interesting middays with Q. And because we are now in this this part of the sports calendar where not only are the NBA playoffs in full swing, and last night we saw my Knicks gut check win over the Boston Celtics. They go up 3-1 in their best of 7 series. They can close out the Boston Celtics tomorrow night. It'll be tough sledding. Tatum goes down for the Celtics. We will talk about that. But listen, I think it seems as though what everyone has been talking about, and as I alluded to, we will definitely get into everything that's going on when it comes to the NBA playoffs. 100%. But what everyone seems to kind of be enamored with today is the NBA draft lottery. And the sentiment, it is the draft lottery rigged, right? That's what everyone's talking about. Is it rigged? Is the NBA, are they starving to find another great young player to catapult a franchise? And what happens last night? And the odds, if you think about it, the way the odds were last night, if you were a Sixers fan or a Spurs fan or a Wizards fan or in this case, a Dallas Mavericks fan. I mean, there were certain things you're watching last night. You were not expecting everything to fall into place like it did. And what's interesting about the draft lottery, when you really break it down, the odds, and I get it, everyone's going to go to 1985. This previous system, right, prior to 2019, awarded a 25% chance that a team with the worst record would win the number 1 overall pick. Last night, going into the draft lottery, the Dallas Mavericks had a 1.8 chance of winning the lottery. And of course, everyone's putting in, they're trying to connect the dots, and they're saying that, well, the Dallas Mavericks arguably made the biggest trade in recent NBA history. In February, they send Luka to the Lakers. And here we go. There's no way you're not going to reward the Dallas Mavericks with the ping pong ball, are you? And boom, what happens? You had 3 teams with the worst record, and they're awarded a 14% chance. The odds decrease thereafter by 1.5 to 0.5. So what transpires last night? The Dallas Mavericks get that lucky lottery ball, right? And as much as, you can come up with your theories, you can come up with, rigged, you can come up with the fix is in, left and right. I've got 6 or 7 examples where you guys actually make a pretty interesting or strong case. If you believe that the NBA lottery is rigged. I mean, for the life of me, I don't know how in the world the Mavericks, who had just, like I said, under a 2% shot at winning, they win the draft. And the problem I have with this is that ultimately, we are still in this mindset of rewarding teams for tanking, especially in the NBA. I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers, their franchise is built on tanking. How the heck do you think they got Joel Embiid? They purposely went out and put together the worst potential product on the floor, and they haven't won diddly. It's backfired over the last 6-7 years. But you watch last night, and you're saying to yourself, wait, we're awarding now the Dallas Mavericks, who have never won the draft lottery? Why? Because they traded a franchise player The Spurs are sitting there number 2. They've had many a top 5 pick. They've had lottery opportunities. We know that. And the 76ers are sitting at number 3, and Charlotte is number 4. And if you want to keep going down, Utah, Washington, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Toronto, Houston, they're your top 10. But it's really all about the top 5, right? Dallas, the Spurs, the Sixers, Charlotte, and Utah all had bad seasons. But Dallas had a bad season because they decided we're going to trade our franchise player. And I understand exactly why people are so aggravated today, because there's no reason. Why would you want to reward? And listen, I'm not talking about the fan base of the Dallas Mavericks. I am not talking again about the fan base of the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks deserve to have a competitive basketball team. There's thoughts that the Dallas Mavericks are going to try to go and move and relocate to Vegas, and everyone has their thoughts and their scenarios in that regard. But the optics are so bad. I am not going to reward you for putting a horrible product out on the field or out on the floor. I'm not. And Nico Harrison has no business. He doesn't deserve. He should not even be making this pick. And if you recall last night, what happens? The CEO of the Mavericks, Rick Welch, comes out right away, and he was part of, the draft lottery, 1985, Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, and the ping pong balls, and there we go, right? But I just feel as though that you should not, teams like the Sixers, what the Sixers did was a joke. What the Sixers did was just an aberration. What the Sixers did was also appalling, because everyone knew that they were going after Joel Embiid, even though Joel Embiid, we already knew that he was hurt coming in to his pro career. But the Sixers made a mockery of it. The Philadelphia 76ers, this whole tanking, it's totally different in the NFL with the whole Colts and the suck for luck and all this thing. The Sixers intentionally tanked. They did it again this year after Embiid was ruled out with a knee injury. So we're not going to reward you for that anymore. We're just not. I refuse to have a team rewarded for stinking up the joint. It's different in the NFL. It's different because I don't believe you go out with the mindset that you are going to give up plays. I think it's a mentality by the front office. It's a mentality by the GMs. It's a mentality by ownership. But in the NFL, man, you can get hurt. There's guys' livelihood, right? And they don't want to risk that at all. At all. So listen, last night, if you guys want to sit here and make the case that the lottery is rigged, go at it. Go at it. Have fun. Have fun, because yes, there are certain scenarios where you look over the last 15 plus years and you start to say, all right, maybe they're onto something here. Maybe if you really break this down, there's something going on. I mean, think about this. Utah, Washington, Charlotte, they had the highest odds to win. All at 14. The Mavericks were at 1.8. How do you explain that? Well, what? Was there a wink? You traded Luka. We're going to give you Cooper Flagg. We know that's going to be the top pick. Young kid coming out of Duke. Here you go. So if you go all the way back, 2008, Derrick Rose goes to his hometown, Chicago. The Bulls had a 1.7 chance of getting that pick, right? 2011, the Cavaliers get the number 1 pick after LeBron James left the summer prior to 2012. The Pelicans get the number 1 pick after Chris Paul leaves. 2014. Oh, by the way, the Cavaliers get the number 1 draft pick, and that gave them the assets to bring in who? Kevin Love to Cleveland. 2019, the Pelicans get the number 1 pick after Anthony Davis demands a, quote, trade. And 2025, the Dallas Mavericks get the number 1 pick after trading Luka Doncic at the trade deadline. These, examples, my friends. These are factually based facts. You can't dispute them. Here you go, unequivocally. There's the truth. 2008, 2011, 2012, 2014, 2019, 2025. Boom. And this is why everyone's up in arms. This is why everyone's up in arms saying this is a joke. How can we sit there and how can we reward teams for playing horribly? How do you reward teams for purposely putting the worst product out on the field? All right, we're going to open it up on the YouTube channel. Got some comments coming in on X as well. You can hashtag MWQ, Middays with Q. Just crank it up on a Tuesday edition. 25 past the 3 o'clock hour. We'll take it right around 4:15-ish, 4:30 on this Tuesday on my YouTube channel, as well as inside the friendly confines of the Tri-X 57 studios. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. I want to get to some of your comments. Also, the NBA playoffs, big win for the Knicks last night. Tatum goes down for the Celtics. That contract, the face of the franchise out, and he was playing brilliantly. We'll get into the NBA playoffs. Second portion of the show, NFL starting to leak out some of these games. We'll go over a little bit of a sneak peek with the schedule as well in our backyard. A couple things cooking with the NFC East. Keep it locked into Tuesday edition. Middays with Q right here on Tri-X 57 and, of course, my YouTube channel.
So 328 will come back, if that adds up, like with what we would priorly be going on.
Yep. Let me get to some of these comments on the other side too. Rigged. Okay. Yeah, this GM goes from being a villain to now having potluck. All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, back inside the friendly confines of the Tri-X 57 studios on a Tuesday edition of Middays with Q. And yes, so we are, just to let you guys know, on my YouTube channel, when we take a break, you're probably just going to see me. Right? So, yes, you'll basically see me right here, just like this, checking my notes. You're going to have to get over it, guys. I don't know what to tell you. And on Tri-X 57, we'll hit the commercial break. All right. So, and yes, that was me. Yes. So if you get in commercial commentary, that's what you're going to get. All right, let's see what we got here. Joe chimes in, hot take. But if I'm the Mavs, I'm passing on Flag. I don't know, seems like a weird guy. What does that have to do with the kick play or not? Trevor Silver was juicing those ping pong balls last night. Vince chimes in, definitely rigged. So is the NFL. A lot of sketchy stuff. Are we supposed to be seeing this part? Yes, you are. I told you guys, this is it. We're peeling back the curtain. So when we say we're taking a break, you're still going to get me during the break when I got to slip in my live reads as well. And as I do that, got to remind you guys that, of course, this portion of Middays with Q from our good friends over at Play It Again Sports, 1450 Clemens Bridge Road in Deptford, New Jersey. Give them a call. 7 days a week they are open, and you can walk right into the store. They've got used sports equipment and more. Discounted prices. They'll give you the best bang for your buck. All right. So I mentioned a lot of people, I feel as though, this is a twofold, right? This is twofold. And I want to get your thoughts on this. the Dallas Mavericks, I believe, are giddy right now. They're not passing up on Flag. They're not. And I know there's been, this argument or this debate, should they trade the number one? They're not going to do that. Because then it almost kills our conspiracy theory that the NBA, wink, wink, basically said, all right, you're trading a Luka, we'll pretty much be able to give you Flag at 1.8% chance. I say that tongue in cheek. They're not trading this kid. And that team, by the way, I don't know if you guys think Flag is going to convert into an all-time great player. I think, and Jonathan Marshall knows the NBA, texted me this morning, and I think he's dead on. He basically said, at worst, this kid's going to be an elite defender. Listen, he's only 18. This kid's only 18 years old. Like, he's a young player. He's got to get stronger. He's got to build that, upper body up and his strength. But the Mavericks, think about the Mavericks for a moment. Go down and look at the Mavericks, just talent-wise. Kyrie, Anthony Davis. Are you going to tell me that, listen, you can't, and you throw Flag into the mix, plus they've got some veterans, that they can't be a competitive team in the Western Conference? I believe they can. I believe they can 100%. Now, I'll say this. Do I believe this kid is going to be a wall-to-wall Hall of Famer? I don't know that. I cannot answer that. Remember now, the NBA is turning into this. It's all about, like, we're tapping into the European market. That's, years ago was you're not even going to get your top 3, 4, 5 all in the States, all on U.S. soil. It's a different animal now. It's a different animal. So the question is, all right, what do you do after Flag, right? Well, listen, you're going to tell me that there are still not good players, Harper, Bailey. Listen, there's some really good players, but obviously Cooper Flag is the coup de grace. That's the player that you want. That's the player that you want. Sean on Facebook chimes in. This is a pretty interesting take. And again, I just, on a couple things with the NBA, definitely enough money in the league to make this happen. Just harder to prove, but interesting nonetheless. And again, talking about Flag, because I think this kid's going to be a player. I really do. Just from what I saw when he played at Duke. Sean chimes in. I think Cooper Flag is going to be a flop in the league, so they can take that pick. I don't agree with that. What I saw in the tournament, this is what guys are saying right now on Facebook. Hey, Q, what I saw in the tournament this year tells me he's going to be a role player at best. You cannot compare players until they start playing. I'm not comparing this kid to Jayson Tatum. That's what, other talking heads are doing. I'm not going to do that. But I saw enough of this kid where I think he's a player. I think he's athletic. I think he plays both ends of the floor. I think he can stretch the floor as well. I also think, hey, again, he can turn around and he can make some plays. Defensively, he can rebound. He looks like a good character guy, right? A young kid going to Duke. Okay, there you have it. Now, is that going to translate into all NBA? I don't know. Nobody knows. We can only surmise by what we watch. We can only sit there and say, okay, we believe he might not be a good player. We believe he might not be a good quarterback. We believe he's going to struggle when he's called up to the majors. We don't know until they're actually playing. And Steve chimes in, remember, he should have been a senior in high school this past season. These are fair and valid points. Okay? These are fair and valid points because, again, the NBA wants to go young. The NBA wants to go international. This is why you have these leagues. This is why you have the G League. This is why you have the BSL. This is why you have the TBL, the basketball league, which I call games for, because they want to be these feeder systems. They want to have these feeder systems where they can attach themselves to the NBA and they can sprout out guys that are maybe diamonds in the rough, guys that are gems, maybe guys that were undrafted. Maybe they had a cup of coffee playing overseas. This is, if you go down and you look at youth basketball or AAU ball, right? And you go to certain states and it's prevalent down south. CYM, they do it. Creative Young Minds, they do it big time. They have 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids playing. It's like a travel select team, but they play teams in the basketball league. So they'll play Eden, they'll play Little Rock, they'll play teams. Why? Because they take the European model. And the European model is get these young kids and get them playing against grown men, adults, and see what they can do. So to some of you guys commenting right now, you know, the future of the league, right? I think the NBA, everyone says the NBA is in trouble. This is all you hear. The NBA is in trouble. The ratings are down. But people, you know how many people have texted me, oh man, I'm not really a hoops fan, but I love these playoffs. I mean, you have high drama. Look at last night. The Knicks, who, unless you're a Knicks fan like myself, you probably didn't believe they had a chance in hell of beating the Boston Celtics. You know, there was a couple moments last night I'm watching this game and I'm like, here you go. It's about to be a blowout. And then the Knicks scratch and claw and they fought back and then Tatum goes down. And, you know, I said last week, I didn't think Tatum was a clutch player. Listen, the kid's hurt. I hope he heals up. It looks like a torn ACL. You never want to speculate. That kid played a phenomenal game last night. Tatum carried the Boston Celtics. He was just unconscious last night. He was an assassin. He was just brilliant last night. And when he goes down, it sucked the life out of that franchise. And you can't apologize for someone getting hurt. The Knicks aren't. You know, you want to beat the best while they're at their best, but the Knicks have an opportunity to do something they haven't done in 25 years. Close them out tomorrow night and make an Eastern Conference Finals. That's a big market for the NBA. They'll get eyeballs, whether it's going to be Indiana or Cleveland. Indiana's trying to shut the door on the Cavs tonight. You know, in the Western Conference, you've got compelling basketball to some extent now with Denver and OKC, but Golden State looks like, you know, unfortunately, the Warriors look like they're aging overnight, and you got the Curry issue, and the Timberwolves are a young, aggressive team, and here you go. So people are going to watch the NBA Finals, and they're going to gamble, and they're going to bet on these games. You and I both know it. But to Joe's point, and he went on to say, feels like this much has happened from Giannis rumors, the Tatum injury, and the draft lottery results. So the Giannis rumors are going to be just that. They're going to be Giannis rumors. And I don't know if I would necessarily put all my eggs in one basket with Giannis. I just don't know. It's my opinion. Okay. You know, yes. Would you like a big? Sure. You would love a big in the NBA and a guy that can stretch the floor. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the NBA is a little goofy in this regard. The NBA, if you have two superstars, you got a puncher's shot. You got a puncher's chance to win a title. Okay? But for instance, last night, Tatum goes down. I mean, that is your top five. When he was playing like that last night, you can't argue. He was a top five player. He goes down. Now, it's not like the NFL next man up. When you lose a star of that caliber, it's very hard to replace. Very hard to replace, which means it makes the competition a little more even, right? It's a level playing field. And I think that can create more eyeballs, believe it or not, because maybe you want to see a different team advance, a different team win, a different market, a different fan base, different players. It's everyone's saying they're losing money, they're losing revenue, they're losing ratings. I don't know how much I subscribe to that. I don't. Did last night, to Joe's point, to Sean's point, to Steve's point, to Trevor's point, did it help? It probably didn't because of the optics. Because of the optics. And the optics tell you that last night was not good for the NBA. Tatum going down, Celtics losing. You want to stretch these series out to 7 games. That's how you keep people engaged in the eyeballs. And then the lottery. And I've said this for years. I hated what the Philadelphia 76ers did. I couldn't take it. I couldn't stand it. How you can sit there and root for a franchise that is purposely tanking, purposely losing, putting on the floor Drek. And that's exactly what they were doing. They were putting Drek on the floor. It was that bad. It was that bad. So again, listen, they were so bad. It got to the point with Sam Hinkie where everyone wanted to praise this guy like he was the next coming of Jesus Christ. I mean, the guy was a clown. What did you accomplish? Because the Sixers haven't done anything. I mean, this franchise, they went from 34 to 48 with Doug Collins. They hired Brett Brown. They won 19 games. Then they won 18 games. Then they won 10 games. 10 games. 10 and 72. And obviously, it opened up the door for a lot of opportunities to go and grab who? Embiid. And the very next season, they won 28 games. And you thought, okay, now you got your franchise player in Embiid, who's never going to be healthy the rest of his career. But the 76ers can't get out of the second round. 76ers didn't make the playoffs. So Sixers fans are excited because now they think they got all these possibilities. You got Embiid, who's never going to be healthy for the rest of his career. You got Maxey, you got George, endless possibilities. Mavericks are not trading that pick. They're not. They're just not. So just get it out of the way. Like, stop with the nonsense that the Mavs are trading Cooper Flag. They're not going to trade that pick. You know, this whole, oh, Giannis is there, you can make a move. No. Not happening. It's pretty much going to be Flag, most likely Harper, and Ace. That's probably how it's going to come down. That's how it's going to come down. And again, the Spurs, if you go to San Antonio, they had a 6.3 chance of moving up to number 2 from number 8. 76ers, 10.6 from moving to number 3 to number 5. The Hornets dropped a spot. And then, again, we kind of saw everything that transpired. So if everyone's sitting there and say, you got endless possibilities to do with this draft pick, endless possibilities. If I'm the Dallas Mavericks, they will torch that venue. They will torch that arena. They will burn that arena down. If they turn around and they trade that pick, it's not happening. You need a face of the franchise now, especially if there's, you know, these reports and rumors that they want to move the team to Vegas. For those that are just tuning in, Tuesday edition Middays with Q live on my YouTube channel, as well as Trix 57. I gave you the, I guess you can say, the potential legit thought on why you might think the NBA is in cahoots. If you guys want to use the word rigged, so be it. I gave it to you. And I'm not talking about 1985 when my Knicks got Patrick Ewing, 84-85. They were 24-58. They got Ewing the next season. They only won 23 games, but obviously they started to make that run as an elite team in the Eastern Conference. Unfortunately, never got past the Bulls. We know the rest. I kind of gave you the lay of the land with this. I gave you the lay of the land. You had 2008, Derrick Rose, Chicago, 1.7 chance. You had 2011, the Cavaliers. They got the number 1 pick after LeBron James coincidentally left the summer. Where was he going to go? He's going to take his talents where? Down to South Beach prior to 2012, right? I mean, we can keep going on and on and on. Pelicans, number 1 pick after Chris Paul leaves, 2014. Cavaliers getting the number 1 pick, which gave them great assets to get a veteran in Kevin Love. They brought him to Cleveland, 2019. The Pelicans, again, number 1 draft pick after Anthony Davis. Once that trade, 2025, i.e. last night, I give you the Dallas Mavericks. Everyone's going to have their thoughts. Everyone's going to have their theories, and you're so entitled to it. You're more than entitled to it. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Are the optics bad? Yeah. But I cannot, on good faith, tell you that this is just like what happens in the NFL, because it's not. It's not. It's totally different. Okay? Totally different. And remember, too, LeBron was with the Heat 11, 12, 13, 14. Then he went back to Cleveland with the whole I'm coming home, all that kind of nonsense. The NFL, you're not sending guys out there with their livelihood on the line to get hurt. You're not. You're just not doing it. Is it a mentality among GMs? Maybe you want to give some rookies, some guys extra time. Are you going to sit there and go to the backup and rest a starter? Incentives are involved in the NFL. Guys, it's all about money. You and I both know this. It's all about the almighty dollar. I need 10 more catches over the last 2 games. You're not going to sit me. I don't care if I'm banged up. I don't care if we're 3-13 or 2-12. I'm going out there. I need 350 more yards to get 5,000 passing yards and a 1.5 bonus. Geno Smith, what was his bonus last year that it kicked in? He needed like 283 passing yards. I think it was what? $6, $7, $8 million bonus? I'll pull it up right now. But point being is, that's why I'm saying in that regard, there's no tanking. There isn't. Because guys, their money, it's not guaranteed. He earned a $6 million bonus by hitting 3 specific performance-based salary escalators in his contract. There you go. All right, 3:46, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We will get into the games. I also mentioned I want to get into a little NFL. Yes, if you are joining on my YouTube channel, when I say we're going to take a timeout, you will get me right here like this, going through my notes for about 30-something odd seconds as we get set to do some live reads. But I'll get to some of your comments. I see Teddy chiming in as well. Also on Facebook, Joe D, Frank chiming in, and you guys can hook up with me on X as well. You can hashtag Middays with Q. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. All right, about 3:47. I think get used to this, the transition, right? I'm going back and forth, transition, sharing this all over God's creation, God's green earth. 3:47, Tuesday edition, Middays with Q. Live inside the friendly confines of the Tri-X 57 studios. Rich Quinones here. All right, so we mentioned, you guys have been giving me your thoughts and your comments regarding the NBA draft. Is it rigged? I mean, again, you guys can draw your own conclusions if you think that the NBA draft is rigged. Do I think there is do I think optics look bad? Yes, I do. I'm not a fan of rewarding teams for poor play. I've said that in the past. I just think it's totally like, okay, baseball. Like, honestly, there's 2 or 3 really bad baseball teams, right? But because the season's so long, I mean, Colorado Rockies, Pittsburgh Pirates, they're having horrible seasons. But because the baseball season is so long, a lot of times it's overlooked. We sit there and say, man, these teams are pretty bad, but, Pittsburgh is bad. Colorado is really poor. They're really bad. Miami Marlins really bad. The Angels really bad. Chicago, sorry, Pope, they're really bad, right? Baltimore struggling early on, but Colorado's a horrible team. They might lose 130 games. That's how bad they are. They're 7-34. But no one's going to sit there and say, baseball is so different. You're calling up young players. You want to see what they have. NFL, because it's such a violent collision sport, you're just not going to throw guys that are not ready to play out there. That's when guys get hurt. You're not doing that. You're just not doing that at all. Basketball, yeah, I think you can put together a non-competitive product. Don't you? If I were to ask you guys this right now, for those that are tuning in, out of all the 4 majors, which sports do you believe are the easiest or easier to quote tank? Right? To quote, put together a bad team, a non-competitive team. Like if you think about it, is it easier to tank in the NFL? Is it easier to tank in basketball? Is it easier to tank in hockey? Is it easier to tank in baseball? I bet you the majority of you will say the easiest sport to tank is the NBA. And speaking of which, last night, I mean, that's a brutal loss for the Boston Celtics. That is a brutal loss. And I'm not talking about, listen, they lost the game to the Knicks, and they had that game. I mean, Brunson and Tatum were going back and forth. And listen, I've been critical of Jalen Brunson.